Aaron, we're about to record our wine podcast. Are you drinking whiskey right now? A little preparation whiskey
I am. I'm getting those creative juices flowing before we talk about this.
with
And it
whiskey?
was getting late. I was getting a little tired, so I just thought perk up a little bit with a glass of whiskey.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Went right past the coffee, straight to the whiskey.
Well, yeah, I mean, to the listener at home, we are recording starting here at 9:41 p.m.
I guess that's right.
and I can like drink a little sip of whiskey and like that'll give me some energy for like an hour, and then I can go to sleep. Versus if I drink a cup of coffee right now, like I want to be a lot of fun for you guys, and then at 12 o'clock, like my wife's gonna wake up to pee, and I'm gonna be like sitting next to her in bed, being like, "Hello," like
That is
is
jarring.
it bedtime yet?
Yeah, alcohol doesn't give me a boost like that. I don't know what it is,
No.
but it just makes me tired. I don't get any energy from drinking. I start up here
Mhm.
and it slowly just drags me down. I don't get that
Yeah.
pop that you do, Aaron. That's nice.
Well, I'm not like pounding, like I'm not getting like, I mean, alcohol is a downer, folks. Like to be clear, like it is not great. I'm not, but I'm just getting loose, just getting a little.
Okay,
I
sure.
still get a little,
Should,
I still come into our sessions a little tight sometimes.
yeah. I could see it helping with getting a little loose. Welcome to Stop Wasting Your Wine, a wine review podcast where we waste our wine so you don't have to. On this episode, we review
A red wine from California.
Welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy to have you here. I'm Joel, and as always, I am joined by the incomparable Colin and Aaron. So happy to have you guys here with me today. Thank you for joining, as though it's not something that we had planned and that we've done every week for the last year.
I love when you use words I can't spell. It's so nice.
Yeah.
Joining? That's it's a tough
G.
it's a tough one.
Yeah, I guess you usually run Spell Malier, so we've never actually heard you spell, so
Ooh, yeah, don't. I am, guys. I feel very confident in my like intellectual abilities in a lot of spaces. Spelling is not one of them. I just cannot spell words.
You
It's
know,
just
that was a
can't do it.
brilliant move of you then to design a game around spelling and do
Very
it before
smart.
we did. Make it a thing.
Yeah.
Be like, I'm gonna be forever word caller. Okay.
100%. I was like, I gotta tackle this ahead of time. Any spell-based games, I gotta come up with so I can host it. 100%.
That was
I
actually
like
really
that.
smart.
Smart. Very
That's
smart.
thinking ahead, right?
I told
there.
you, intellectually doing fine in most places, not spelling. If it doesn't have a red squiggly line under it, I
Well,
don't know.
That's what I was gonna say too, though. This is a good time in the world to be bad at spelling. You know,
Sure.
That's true.
everything's telling you did it wrong. There's so many
Yeah,
safeguards.
that's right.
It's just sad when someone looks at me and goes, "Hey man, how do you spell a blank?" And I was like, "Yo."
BLANK. That one's easy.
That is
That
pretty
one's
easy.
easy.
In the moment.
Well done. Well done.
Oh,
Firing
man.
at a high level today. Let's go. It's gonna
I'm
be a good episode.
ready to go today. Had a little whiskey before the show, so I'm ready to rock and roll. Hey, listener, thanks so much again for joining us. On this show, we got a fun one coming at you today. So we are going to play a little bit of a new game. And then in lieu of a traditional learning segment, we are going to play a little tag. And if this is your first time hearing about it, that is, of course, two assholes guessing, that being me and Aaron on that guessing game. So playing a little tag. And then, of course, we're going to get into enjoying what is hopefully a wonderful wine from California. So, Aaron, you want to tell us a little bit more about the red wine from California we're drinking today?
There's nothing I love more than telling the listener about wines that are from languages I can pronounce naturally.
It's all English, baby.
Yeah, today the producer is Blue Canyon.
Oh, wow.
Blue Canyon.
Do less on this one.
Blue Canyon.
Less.
Blue Canyon 2021 Pinot Noir from Monterey, California. This is a 13.5 ABV that we got at Total Wine for about 17 buckaroonies.
Yeah, $17. You guys a little nervous about that price point for a Pinot Noir? What are you thinking?
Yes, I'm very nervous. And Pinot Noir is one of those grapes where oftentimes price matters only because it's a very finicky grape. It's hard to grow. So to get it down to that price point, what's going into that bottle is my first question.
Yeah.
So a little nervous, but maybe we found a diamond in the rough. This does my bottle anyway has a 92-point sticker on it. So
Yes.
maybe we found something here.
Cool. I mean, and I will say, like, if I want to just hop on that, like, tag, like, key things I've learned about wine over the past year, drinking with you lovely gentlemen, it's, again, like, when we're looking for wines that might be grapes off a beaten path, like, there's a lot of value in finding uniqueness or going to regions that, folks don't know about. When you get into the classics, that's when it gets tough, I think, because to Colin's point, like, in the competition, it's Pinot Noir. Lots of people make Pinot Noir and lots of people make Pinot Noir well. So if you are selling it for $17, like, what are you doing differently where you're not selling it for 25, 35, 45 bucks? And so that, yeah,
Agreed.
that I think when you think about like the traditional big hitter wines that everyone knows, the price does seem to matter a little more.
Yeah, I would agree. And everything you guys are saying, and I kind of asked the question a little bit because this was my choice of wine this week. And I want to share a little bit about why I chose this one. So, a couple of reasons. One, I love that we've been trying all these different regions, but it's been a little while since we went back to a little bit of a tried and true kind of right down the middle of the plate grape. And especially it's been a little bit since we were in the States. So wanted to bring that back, see how maybe this would compare. We've learned a little bit here and there, maybe expanded our palates a little bit. So let's see how we're doing. And then number two, it was kind of an interesting cross section of, a lower price point, a 92-point sticker on there. Somebody valued this thing at 92 points, which is very interesting. And I know we won't get into how we feel about points and why we have our rating system. That's been said, but it's worth noting. And then also it something that struck with me when we were talking to Jim Duane was that, he was talking about driving down to Monterey with his family to get some grapes. And this is a Pinot Noir from Monterey. So I was thinking, I wonder if maybe Monterey is one of those kind of areas where it's in California, but it's not Napa, it's not Sonoma. Is Monterey maybe a little bit of a sleeper in the grape growing situation here? So I'm not sure. I know nothing about this.
Yeah, no, that was going to be my one kind of, I guess, green flag on the price and sub 20 Pinot Noirs. This one's from Monterey, which is not necessarily a terribly well-known region, not super popular. So I think this could be a decent value play if
I love
the
that.
grapes are good.
Yeah.
I love that. Again, like finding that, that outside of the norm, outside of the regional area,
Yeah.
it's not exactly like Turo, Spain or Vindeverde, but like it's,
Yeah.
Monterey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, not going to lie to you, I've been taking some pretty easy swings over my past couple of picks, and I wanted to get a little bit, not out there, but a little
you
bit
want to take
less
some chances?
confidence. I want to take a little chance. That's a good way to put it.
Come over
I
to
like
the
that.
deeper end of the pool with the rest of us, trying some funny
I'm
things.
ready now. I've built up enough victories in my corner to where I can get risky with this one. So we'll see if it pays off here.
Well, I hope for us, we continue your victories, though. I mean, I'd hate for this to be anything less than that,
I hope.
I'm rooting for you, Joel, is what I'm
We'll
trying to
see.
say, is I'm rooting for you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate the vote
Nice guy.
of support.
I'm not.
I know
Just
you're
not.
not. You didn't even have to say
Just
it.
not.
I knew you would be. That's okay. That makes it a little spicier, actually, and I appreciate that aspect of the show. So that's great. Hey, listen, before we get into this one, too, mention we have a fun new game. Aaron, what are we doing today?
Yeah, I'm excited. It felt like time for something new. So for listeners at home, I don't know if you've seen a version of this video going around the Instagram or the TikTok, but there's a lot of wine folks. I'm sure they do it with other things. I just don't watch anything else. Where basically they'll put up two wines and they'll just ask the person on camera, this one or this one.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll say the one they want, and the loser will drop away, and they'll put up a new one, and they'll match them up again, and they keep going. It's kind of a cool way to quickly get to like the top of this person's tier, like make them keep pitting them against each other until you find your favorite of the group.
I've seen these.
So
I've seen these
yeah,
videos.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and they're a lot of fun. They're quick, And, we've been talking a lot over the past like couple months now. We've been taking wines out of our fridge and putting new
Mhm.
wines in our fridge and putting things on our kitchen table and like moving them around. And, I wanted to do we're going to call this game Gut Check.
Good
Ooh.
check. I love
Because
it.
I want to do a quick gut check. I'm going to rapid fire through the reds that we have had either currently in or in
Mhm.
our wine fridges, in anyone's
Mhm.
wine fridges in the past.
Love it.
And I'm just gonna, machine gun them at you, and you have to tell me which one you like. You guys want to try it out?
Let's
I'm
try
in.
it.
This sounds great.
All right, Joel, you're gonna be the first victim of this.
Okay.
So all three of us are gonna do it. I'm gonna toss them at Joel, then I'm gonna toss them at Colin, and Joel's gonna toss them at me.
Okay.
And we're gonna see where we land of our number one. Joel, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go.
Let's do it.
The Gugal or the Chateau de Tout?
Gugal.
Gugal or St. Giorgio?
St. Giorgio.
St. Giorgio or Taba?
St. Giorgio.
St. Giorgio or Baronia?
Baronia.
Ooh, Baronia or La Sacrestia?
La Sacrestia.
La Sacrestia or Planeta?
La Sacrestia.
La Sacrestia or the Robert Groffier?
Oh, see, I wasn't sure if we were going to see the Robert Groffier in here. Come on.
Yeah.
Robert Groffier. Yeah, I'm doing it. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. All right. But if we didn't throw the $100 bottle in at the end, La Sacrestia
Yeah, which is
your
funny.
favorite of all those.
Yeah, which is also funny because didn't none of us put that? Did we put? Oh, that was
No,
Ashman.
we were all a
right?
little
He put
shy
that-
because Ashman
yeah.
was on the show, and we didn't
Yeah.
want to be like, "Oh, this Italian is so great," and then Ashman was like, "You're all stupid.
Yeah.
This is a great
This is the
wine."
It
best
should have
wine.
been in the wine fridge.
And
It
he
should have
put
been
it
in the wine.
he put it in his
Yeah.
honorary fridge, which
And
is why
then-
it's on this list.
It's the one I've gone back to the most since we tried it. Absolutely.
$17, great value,
Yep.
great wine. All right, you ready, Colin?
Let's do it.
The Gugal or the Chateau de Tout?
Gugal.
Gugal or St. Giorgio?
St. Giorgio.
St. Giorgio, Taba.
Ooh. St. Giorgio.
St. Giorgio, Baronia.
St. Giorgio.
St. Giorgio or La Sacrestia?
Oh, it's so close. La Sacrestia.
Mhm.
La Sacrestia or Planeta?
La Sacrestia.
La Sacrestia or Robert Groffier?
For the value, La Sacrestia.
Fair.
All right.
That's a fair. That's a
Absolutely.
good qualifier and a fine answer.
Yeah.
I'm 100% cool with that. Okay.
Which is exactly why it was not in Colin's wine fridge.
That's right.
Yes, but
The
was
Robert
in
Groffier.
mine.
Yes, it was.
As we recall. Okay, can I turn the tables? Can I run this by you,
Let's do it.
Aaron? I'm very intrigued to see. We had a lot of overlap there until the end, which was fun. I'm so glad. Let's see what happens here. Okay,
I think the St. Giorgio rode longer with Colin.
it did.
Yeah.
It did. Okay, here we go. Ready?
Yep.
Gugal, Chateau de Tau. 2.
Chateau de Tout.
Chateau de Tau, St. Giorgio.
St. Giorgio.
St. Giorgio, Taba.
St. Giorgio.
St. Giorgio, Baronia.
Baronia.
Baronia, La Sacrestia.
Baronia.
Ooh, Baronia, Planeta.
Baronia.
Baronia, Robert Groffier.
Baronia.
Word, okay.
Whoa,
Yeah.
the Baronia guy.
Yeah, well done.
Love it.
That's the one that I went back to the second most too. I did not go
Mhm.
away from the Baronia for a long time, so that's a good call.
And I just want to clarify one thing for the listener at home. When we're talking about St. Giorgio here, we are talking about the Chianti Classico because we've
Yes.
done 2 from St. Giorgio. It was the
yes.
Fermentino,
Thank
I
you
believe.
for clarifying.
I will say one thing about that list, though. Even though we had favorites, not a bad wine on there. I mean, you
No.
could easily pick any of those and absolutely be happy. All recommends there. So check any of those out.
Yeah, people should as those labels are popping up on that screen, you should just be writing them down. These are all $15 to $25 bottles of wine, except for that very last one that you could keep in your pantry or in your wine fridge and just be good to go for a while.
100%.
You know what else I love? I love 2 things about this game. 1, it lets us review all of our wine fridge wines for the people. Number 2, do you guys remember when we were still working on filling in our wine fridge, and then it was exciting when we
Oh
pulled
my
one
God.
out and all that good
Yeah,
stuff. So
for
now we've got
sure.
a whole list of current and ex wine fridge, I should say former wine fridge wines, which is pretty cool. Looking forward to that continuing to grow, and maybe we play a little gut check on, the kitchen table here. There's a wide variety there. We kind
Oh,
of both
100%.
love it.
Because we got a ton of good kitchen table reds.
Oh,
We
yeah.
got a ton of. We unfortunately don't have enough whites in our wine fridge to do this with,
We should
but
work on that.
we have a ton of kitchen table whites that we could do this with in the future. So I'm excited to
Mhm.
play that again. All right, that was gut check. A lot
Love
of
it.
fun.
That was fun.
We're
That was a
keeping
lot
that
of
one
fun.
around. I like that one. Awesome.
Cool.
All right. Well, we have a very, very game centric episode today. We don't do this all the time, but we're just feeling like being competitive today. So we're gonna do a little bit of learning and a little bit of fun. Play a little tag. Hopefully, learn something along the way.
This is the only thing you will learn.
All right. Yeah. So tonight we're playing Two A-Holes Guessing, a game where I ask
You're so
questions to
nice.
Joel and Aaron about topics they know nothing about. So, as we've seen in the past, this can go either way. But at the end of the day, it's all about learning. So, what we're talking about this evening is wine faults and kind of what to expect when you taste something in a wine, what that wine fault could be. So, I'm sure you're all read up on your wine faults. And
Absolutely. Just reading about that this morning.
Yeah, I can see the dread on Aaron's face. He looks.
Wine has no fault to me.
Oh, that's nice.
I do just want to say before we kick off, this is just the very, very surface of wine faults. These are some of the major wine faults. It's definitely not an exhaustive list. So I did not ask AI this time to select a winner, so we're going to do a quick guess the number game. So I have a number
This goes terrible every time.
in my number in my head. It's between 1 and 5. Aaron, your name starts with an A, so I'll let you go first.
3.
No.
4.
Yes, Joel nailed it.
Damn. All right. Cool.
Yes.
All right. Joel's going first. So, Joel,
Excellent.
Remember, I
wine
did that between 1 and 3, and you both got it wrong.
Yes. I was going to say what are
I'm
the
sorry.
odds, but we could actually calculate that pretty easily. So we'll move
Yeah.
on.
Go ahead with Joel.
All right. So the first question is more about just wine faults in general. So, Joel, true or false?
Mhm.
Wine faults can only occur during the winemaking process and not during storage.
Oh, that's false.
That is false. Well done.
Yeah.
Wine faults can.
What the hell
you.
kind of question was
you.
that?
It's just to kick it off, ease it in.
You can only stub your toe when your feet are in your shoes and not when you're walking around barefoot. True or false?
Wow. Look at this guy.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
episode 61, and all of a sudden he's a wine expert. He's
Yeah,
like, come
okay.
on, give me something challenging.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't know that my wine could stay good if I store it in the fucking desert.
Listen, I was trying to kick off introduce wine faults in general, okay? We're trying to learn here, Mr.
He's being nice
Sorry,
to us, Aaron.
I just want to. Okay, I hope so.
No, okay, well,
I just want to point. Joel is very competitive, and I get nervous because Joel's won the last 2.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
true.
Okay, this Aaron is really just.
Colin is on there looking for the hardest question he could possibly find.
I literally thought to myself, how can I make this harder for Aaron?
No, don't.
But
You'll
yes,
prove me right.
yes, of course, wine faults can occur at many of the steps in the winemaking process, and then also during storage. That's why it's so important to keep your wine away from sunlight, out of the heat, in a nice, cool place. And then, the wine faults during the winemaking process are really, there's so much that can go wrong. The fact that we're able to consistently make wine is incredible with all the variability in the process and the bad stuff that can happen. So, point to Joel.
Yes.
All right. They do get harder from here.
Okay. I'm glad I was
Aaron.
first.
True or false? A wine that is corked or has cork taint is said to smell like damp basement, wet newspaper, or wet dog.
True.
That is true. So if you ever pop open a bottle of wine and you get kind of that gross, wet, damp, dank smell, you might have a cork issue. So look for that when you're popping those corks.
Is vinegar also one of those things, or is that something different?
That's something different. And have you guys ever had a corked bottle of wine? Like, have you ever experienced?
I think my standards are too low
so.
to know.
I've had one, and it legitimately smelled like that wet cardboard. Like that gross. Maybe
Oh,
it's been in
yeah.
the garage for a while, got a little damp somehow. It had
Yeah.
that smell to it, and all the flavors were just muted, and it
Mm.
was awful. It was an immediate drain wine, but something to look out for. All right, we're tied 1-1. Good start so far.
Mm-hmm.
Joel,
Competitive.
true or false?
Mm-hmm.
Brettanomyces, a type of yeast,
Mm-hmm.
always imparts pleasant flavors to a wine.
False.
It is false. Although Brettanomyces or Brett can produce some interesting aromas in lower quantities. That's when we talk about our barnyard flavors,
Mm.
stuff like that. That comes from Brett. You see a lot of that in European wines. You don't see too much in domestic wines, but it can actually be quite enjoyable. But at the extreme, it can get medicinal and even smell like Band-Aids, some people say.
Ooh.
So yeah,
Ugh.
yeah. Yeah, Brett, or like super horsey.
broke
Like
Aaron.
when you get that really, like it just smells like you're at a barn.
Yeah.
That's Brett for you. So
Gotcha.
I'm looking out for. All right, maybe these weren't as difficult as I thought they'd be.
No, you're giving us some softballs today, and I'm kind of here for it.
People are gonna learn more if they're not focusing as much on how stupid we are.
Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
probably
Like they're just like focusing on the facts. Like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
For sure. All right, Aaron, true or false?
With that being said,
Oxidation in wine can give it a brownish color and nutty flavors.
true.
That is true. Yeah.
Wow.
And oxidation is another one of those things where, with a little bit, some people actually enjoy oxidation. They're actually wines made in a very oxidative style, but too much oxygen. And of course, this, Aaron, is where your vinegar comes in. You don't want to leave it out, or else it just becomes an undrinkable vinegar.
Yeah, I don't think I've had like a fully corked wine, but I think sometimes when you pop the cork out and the cork like crumbles as you're pulling it out. And so I have to assume like some aspect of that, like that cork was probably starting to let more oxygen into the bottle.
For sure.
And I think I've experienced that. Like I've experienced like wines that have gone through a little bit of like breakdown with the cork.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and some of the older wines, cork lets in oxygen naturally over time anyway. So even if it's not fully oxidized, you can see some of those brown tones coming in. But the best indicator, besides obviously the awful smell of oxidized wine, is the brownish tint to it. It's very specific. Once you see it, you're like, oh yeah. Like my favorite thing is on Instagram, somebody will open a really old bottle of wine, and you can tell by the picture that it's clearly just oxidized to death. And they're like, oh, this $800 bottle of wine was excellent. I was like, no, it wasn't. You drank $800 vinegar is what happened. Like, sorry.
You had no other option but to be like,
yeah, he's just trying to
This
pump
was
up
a
your
wise investment.
yep.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we're actually all tied up going into the tiebreaker. So
Joe loves a tiebreaker.
I
Joel
do.
does love
You
a
know I
tiebreaker.
do. God, on the edge of my seat.
Again, just a quick noise, maybe something that starts with a louder syllable, so I can get it off the bat. Okay.
Roger that.
Okay. Are you chiming in?
Was that you
before I
chiming
even
in?
answer the
Yeah.
question?
No, sorry, I was practicing.
Gentlemen, true or false? Reduction, which is the opposite of oxygenation, it actually what happens when there's not enough oxygen in wine, can lead to unpleasant aromas of rotten.
Wow.
Okay, Aaron.
I'm gonna say true.
It is true. Although you don't know what aromas I had down here, but I mean that's kind of skirting the game.
Wow.
I was strategy for the win.
Okay.
You can continue for the knowledge, but I'm taking the W.
Wait,
Okay,
if I can name the aromas you were gonna say,
No. You already said run.
Okay, fine.
No,
Good job.
if you can pick, I have two aromas down. If you know what reduction tastes like, you can absolutely have a point and the win.
Here we go. You ready?
Yes. He doesn't have it.
Here we go. Jam.
No.
Okay.
I'll stop you there. It's
I was guess you would say rotten eggs.
no, rotten cabbage actually,
Rotten
and
cabbage. No one's guessing rotten cabbage.
that's why I said if he knew, then he could just have
Yeah.
it, but he
Yeah.
obviously didn't know.
What if I
And burnt
did?
rubber is the other one, so look out.
Ugh.
Yep,
So not enough oxygen, rotten cabbage, and burnt rubber.
that's right.
That
So,
sounds like the worst,
That's so
actually,
weird.
of all the faults you've named so far.
Mm.
Yep.
Burnt rubber has to be the worst.
I just want to recap real quick. You have cork taint, which kind of tastes like damp pavement, wet newspaper, or wet dog. You have Britannomyces, which can be a little barnyard or band-aidy. You have oxidation, which is too much oxygen, which turns your wine eventually into vinegar. And then you have reduction, which is not enough oxygen, and your wine can have unpleasant aromas of rotten cabbage or burnt rubber. So some things to look out for while you're drinking wine. I hope none of you ever come across any of these. And if you do, take your bottle back to wherever you bought it from, because that wine is spoiled.
And interesting question there too. I mean, that there's no harm or foul, right? I mean, wherever you are, you're at a restaurant, you get something like that, you should let them know, right? I mean, gosh,
100%.
yeah.
No, this is not a preference thing. If your wine is bad, you should tell somebody that it's bad. There's not a wine shop out there that if you can prove that one of these things happened to your wine, they won't take it back, So this is absolutely one of those things where you should tell somebody about it or where you bought it from.
And I mean, and these are obvious things. And the funny thing too is like, I think about it, I feel like wine creates this whole nother vibe, but like we do this at the bar all the time with beer. When you get a beer at a draft and you think the keg is kicked or it's gone bad, like you just hand it back to the bartender. You're like, yo, the keg's bad. And they take your word for it. And like, no one's going to give you a hard time about it. Could be a very expensive bottle of wine, but like even more so if you're buying a very expensive bottle of wine and you look at them and go, this is corked or this is bad. Like they're going to take your word for it.
Listen, I agree. I just want the kids at home to know it doesn't matter if it's 1/80th of a keg of beer or, like you said, Aaron, an expensive bottle of wine. If you get something bad, you make sure you let the people know. And now you know what to look out
100%.
for because we're all more knowledgeable on that, thanks to Colin. And congratulations, Aaron. Good job on your big
good
win.
job. Big win. Big dub.
Back on the podium, baby.
No, good job. Congrats. All right. That was fun. Thank you. I did like the level of difficulty on those questions. So maybe wherever you kind of throttled to, let's put a little marker on there because that was perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that kind of killed the spirit of the game, though.
That is true.
I feel like we walked away learning something.
That's true.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, you get to decide if it's going to be full throttle or nice and easy. So that's
I'll
up
switch
to
it
you.
up from time to time.
Yeah. Totally. I love it. All right. Well, we learned. We played a couple games. Love it. What do you guys think? Should we get into our wine today?
That would be lovely.
Please.
Tastes like wine.
All right. Well, our guy and champion Aaron over there, go ahead and kick us off, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting because we've had a lot of unique grapes recently. So a lot of times when I'm thinking about the smell, I'm like running comparisons to other stuff we've had.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely getting, those big red fruits. And like a little bit of the herbal stuff we've been talking about, but not as much as we've as some of the Italian reds that we've had recently. Like more of the fruit focused smells, but not. And I'm prepared to get run over on this, but like not as complex as some others. Just like just a few big ones.
I don't think we're,
and that's it.
I'm not driving at you. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Colin?
I think you're right on with that. Yeah. Picking up definitely some red fruits, getting some cherry, a little bit of raspberry. I think herbal is a probably good call. Kind of borders on herbal and earthy, which, that's splitting hairs, but I definitely think that's in there. The sniff is actually surprising little burny for only 13.5%. Like, I don't know if you guys are experiencing that, but it really kind of stings the nose in a way I wasn't expecting at such a medium ABV.
It's a little concerning, so just a little bit, because it's reminiscent of some of the other ones we've had that have had like more of the artificial flavoring that's resulted in like the artificial scent that I think is made. And I'm not saying that's what it is because we haven't like gone to the taste yet, but the burniness feels, I don't know, like it's just related.
I wouldn't even say artificial. I would just say unbalanced. Like I think the alcohol,
Mm.
at least on the nose, is really unbalanced in this wine. You know, whether or not that comes across on the palate to be seen, but it's not a nice sniff.
Well, and maybe along the lines of what you're thinking too, Aaron, when I first put my nose in there, I got almost like a candied apple kind of smell. You know, like it's obviously very, to me, you know, like young, everybody said red fruits, but like very young. And to me, for some reason, it triggered like a candied, maybe not a candied apple, but like a candy, sugary candy something.
Yeah.
Something in my head.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I mean, it definitely, the fruit maybe is a little bit not as fresh, maybe a little bit more of that candied style. And then the only other thing I'm getting there is there's a bit of oak influence, I think. I wouldn't be surprised if this has seen some oak. It's very light though.
Okay, well, let's give it a taste. All right, I'm gonna switch it up. Go to you first, Colin.
So you're definitely getting some of that red fruit in there, but everything's very thin. And the thing I think that really stands out shockingly to me is the alcohol. Like it's just really poorly balanced in this wine. Like even on the tongue, it burns going back, and then you get some heat in the back of your throat, which for 13.5%, again, it's just like it's not at all what I was expecting.
We've had some very smooth, very enjoyable, like 13.5% reds that have just felt great. And this is, you know, and we've had a couple like 14.1. We've had a couple 14.1s, like 14.5s that have been a little bit easier to go down than this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
What do you think, Aaron?
I think the from a flavor profile, it's like a lot of the same stuff we got on the nose. Like you get a lot of the red fruit kind of taste to it. So focusing on more of the structure, the body is much thinner than I expected for a red, and the tannins are like non-existent. Like this is such a low tannin red. Acidity's relative, like it's just there's not much going on from a structure standpoint. Like everything's kind of medium low. Minus the alcohol, which is then like surprise.
Well, the low tannin and the probably more acidity is a function of the grape. That's just kind of how Pinot Noir rolls. It's a thin skin grape, so you're not going to get a lot of tannin. You're not going to get a lot of color either, which is, if you look at this, there's very little color to the wine, so not a ton of extraction. And I think that honestly comes through in the flavor too. It's just there's not a ton of flavor there, and they all kind of combine into one. I mean, it's like it's red fruit, but I'm having trouble picking out specific red fruits. It just kind of tastes like red fruit and a little bit of oak. You know, maybe I would say raspberry, but I think you could fight me on that if you wanted to and say something else.
Yeah, I think the cherry is the thing. The cherry is the thing that's
Cherry
sticking
for
out
sure.
here.
Yeah, but again, it's all just kind of red fruit.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Anybody else getting kind of a? I think I've said this on other episodes, and you've called me out, Aaron, but almost like a salty finish. Like it almost seems salty.
You want your wine to say brine. Say brine.
I specifically avoided saying that. But I don't know why, but like something it's just on the finish there, and it's giving me salt. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't actually hate that. If you pay attention to it, like I don't think I would have thought that had you not mentioned it, but when you look for it, it's totally there. And I will say the finish is very fleeting. But like the flavor of the finish is fleeting, but then you do get that kind of, I guess salty is a good word for it, aftertaste.
Aaron, this time it's applicable.
Yo,
it's probably the best.
If you say it every episode, it's going to land every now and then.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I was giving you a hard time. No, I'll say this too. Like it doesn't. I'm not getting the cheap artificial fake flavors, you know, for this wine. I'm not. And so like that's a plus for the price range, because it is in that like dangerously low price range of $17. It's not in the $12 range, but it's, you know, the mid-teens. So that could have been a problem. But everything is missing something to me, if that makes sense. Like the flavor is missing a little bit, the structure is missing a little bit, the alcohol is a little off, you know, just everything is just a little not enough, and that's like kind of where I'm landing. Like I'm not offended, but I'm not super enjoying it. I'm not really impressed by it, but I don't hate it. It's miraculously mediocre.
That might be a good way to put it.
Just like-
Good way to put it. I don't want to get too into reviews. Anybody have any other notes they want to share?
I mean, a little bit of oak influence comes through on the palate, and I think
Mhm.
to Aaron's point, I think there's no fake winemaking here. I think
Yeah.
this is just grapes, maybe not the best quality grapes, but I don't think they tried to do anything to this wine to make
Mhm.
it any different.
I think that's fair. Okay. Well, I think we've pretty much picked it apart here. Let's go ahead and get into the reviews.
Yeah, but did they like it? It's time for the review.
All right. As is tradition, I brought this wine onto the show, so I will reserve my review for last. And to go first, I'm going to choose Aaron.
I'm gonna pretty confident say I think this is a closet wine. I think this is, someone could probably talk me up to a counter wine, like just drinking it casually while I'm doing stuff. But I think if people brought this over during a party, it's the bottle that kind of stays open for a bit and then finds its way to my closet. And then whenever I open the closet to grab something, I kind of avoid it until I finally have to drink it again. I don't hate it. I wouldn't drain it, but I'm not super stoked about it. So I think it's a perfectly fine backup wine at that price of that $17 range. Like if you need to have some backup reds in your closet and you like Pinot Noir, you're probably not gonna be super offended by this. But for me personally, it's a closet wine.
Fair enough. Colin?
Yeah, I think this is a really good example of a $17 Pinot Noir, which I think for the
Damn
most
it.
part is going to find its way into the closet. I think this is a backup wine as well. The flavors are just not really they're not a ton of them. They're not super enjoyable what's there, and the ones that are there, I'm having a really hard time picking out. So it's not like I can really, sit there and think about this one. I would agree it's not terribly well balanced with the alcohol. I couldn't recommend this to anybody, and the fact that it got 92 points is
It's pretty
mind
crazy.
blowing. Mind blowing.
Who was the organization responsible for that? Them pointos.
Wine enthusiast.
Wine enthusiast.
We love wine enthusiasts on this pod. So
We do.
We do.
Uh,
We do love wine enthusiasts. However, I might disagree with the person who reviewed this one, but
Not super
so this is
enthused.
a backup for sure.
Joel.
I don't disagree with you guys. It might be just giving me enough for it to be, it's fine. It's going on my counter. I think the only reason is because while I totally agree, it's not really doing too much very well, in my opinion. What it is doing, I don't think it's not offensive. It's not turning me away. And in my mind, I was thinking as you guys were talking, if I go and I put this out on the counter, am I going to maybe finish it off tomorrow? Yeah, probably. I'll probably finish it off. So for that reason, I'm going to say it's fine going on the counter. But I did have an internal debate for quite a bit. I was on the verge of kind of a closet and counter. So just enough. To keep it on the counter for me.
Situationally, I'm gonna drink this tomorrow. Like it,
Right.
it is a for all intents and purposes, like it is a counter wine now that it is open. Like,
Sure.
I will drink this while I'm chilling tomorrow for no,
Isn't that
reason.
every wine for you though, Aaron? I mean,
I mean, waste not, want not, man. I'm
Yeah.
That's fair.
not a
That's fair.
millionaire over here, bro.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this one might warrant just a quick discussion about, is this a waste of your wine? So again, y'all, this is the Blue Canyon Pinot Noir from 2021. This is from Monterey, California, 13.5% ABV, and it was $17 for this closet / counter wine. So what do you guys think? Waste of your wine or not?
I think the price saves it. I think the price saves it. I think it's $17. I don't think it's a waste of your wine. Like I think if you like Pinot Noir and you want to have a bunch of Pinot Noir ready to roll at your place and you want some backups, I think it's a closet wine. I think it's a backup. I think if this thing was $23, I would call it a waste of your wine. And that is how close we are to the shift. But so that's just me.
Mhm.
I don't think it's a waste of your wine at $17.
Yeah,
Colin?
I do think it's a waste at $17 because we've had so many wines in this price range that have been excellent, and this wine is
true.
just at $17. I'm not buying this again. I can't recommend it to anybody, so I think it's a waste.
It's all on Joel, who is not biased.
I kind of think it's a waste. I think I'm gonna vote
Oh, hot
waste
damn.
on
Good
this
for
one.
you. Good for you overcoming your own like bias of being the person that presented this shit to us.
Yeah.
I mean, this wine.
This wine. It's legitimately
It's
a wine.
It's wine. It's not drainable.
Once again, quite torn, and again, it went on the counter for me because it isn't faking it. It's, there's a level of quality here, but I sort of agree. I think it might be a waste because we've had a lot of great wines at this price point.
You know, Gugal's like as low as like $14 in some places.
Yeah,
$13, $14.
absolutely.
That does get into the regional aspect, but
Yeah. Well, I mean,
then again, it's Côte d'Aron.
it would be, in my opinion, the opposite, right? I mean, like, how are they doing a decent Côte d'Aron at that price? Cheaper than this.
That's fair.
My gosh. So yeah, I think I'm gonna vote. Yeah, I'm gonna vote waste of your wine on this one. It's been a little while since we had one of these, but I think so.
That's it, 2-1, waste of your wine. So as a quick aside to the listener, as a reminder, the difference being if you have the wine, it's in your possession. Like, what are you going to do with it? None of us are draining it. It sounds like it's a backup or, it's fine. But as a recommendation of whether or not to buy it, it would be a waste of your money to buy this wine.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. Agreed.
I think so. Wow. All right. Well, shoot. Sorry, guys.
Hey, you can't win them all, Joel.
I mean,
That's right.
I'm still drinking it, Joe.
Yeah. I mean, me too. I already got it, so I'm gonna finish it off probably tomorrow. And it is what it is. But there you have it. Waste of your wine. Don't have our stamp of approval to go out and give this one a go. But if anything that we've said sounds like something that you may dig, go ahead and try it. But not our stamp of approval. So fun one. This was a fun one. So
This was a
maybe
fun
not
episode.
the mind-blowing wine we wanted, but I think we had a whole lot of fun. Played a couple good games. I'm excited about it. Listen, anybody want to run through our social media and how the folks can get a hold of us?
Not it.
Takers?
Oh,
Colin.
okay. Wow, I did not expect it. To be totally honest, I would. This is not what I expected. But I'd be happy to
Expect
tell
the
people
unexpected.
where they can find us. Instagram. So if you noticed, our account got suspended for like 5 minutes. Don't know what happened there, but we're back. So don't
Back,
worry
baby.
about that.
It's because of all of our saucy content. So watch out for that.
Aaron got too saucy with the content. We are also on YouTube, and you can check us out at our website, stopwastingyourwine.com. And those are the big three, as I like to call them.
The big three.
They
Love
rival the big three in Miami.
Celtics.
There was a
Okay.
big three in Miami.
Yeah, there was a big three in the Celtics. Yeah.
Okay.
Are you guys?
Listen, I'm not trying to argue basketball here. I'm just trying to throw in a reference. Okay, Aaron.
No, you did a great job. It was just the wrong one.
go. These two, you get them talking about their basketballs, and it's all
Let's go.
over.
I don't know anything about basketball.
Me neither.
Garnett, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce.
Oh,
Okay, I know. Yeah. Okay. Let's finish the
great. Let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Hey, everything was really great until the last 44 seconds. So if you're still with us, we appreciate you. Thanks so much for hanging out.
All right, bye, y'all.
And remember, stop wasting your wine.
Bye.